Hey y'all, I'm back with another video, and this is all about how to make and customize a cheap notebook. And I'm going to share with you two examples, actually three total, but two where I customize. But the first thing I want to share with you, because those first two journals that I shared were actually from Michaels, and they're $2 in their little like $2 bin. But I'm going to share with you how you can make your own for pretty cheap as well, and then I'll move on to how you customize them. So the first thing I'm doing is simply just measuring out the size of the notebook, and I'll speed up the video here in a bit, but I just wanted to share with you kind of that short process of being able to, to measure things out if you want something a particular size or a similar size to a notebook that you already have. Just simply pull your notebook and use a pen or a pencil to measure and then cut your paper to size. I'm using printer paper, and I highly recommend that for a notebook like this, especially if it's going to be like a gift, which is part of the reason why I came up with this video, was because I thought it'd be a really fun gift to maybe like have a set of notebooks that kind of complement each other and have them kind of more stationary, and then maybe you can add a cute little pin and some stickers with it or something. So anyway, I am showing you how I'm just folding those up, and I'm going to trim some of those off, and then I'll go ahead and speed up the video now. So I went ahead and trimmed up the edges, mainly because when you fold any kind of paper and it's several pieces in a row, the middle section is always going to be longer than the outer section. So I went ahead and trimmed it to make sure that they're all fairly even. And then now I'm going to remeasure this from the front of this notebook, because I realized that I measured it wrong for some reason. So I'm going to grab the paper that goes on the inside, grab my pen again, and then go ahead and measure it so I know exactly where to cut. And then what I'll do is I'll go ahead and trim that down to size, fold it just to make sure that it's the right size, of course, and then I'll continue on with my process. So I'm going to stick my papers on the inside of the front cover. Obviously, I'm going to stick it on the inside of the book. And then I'm going to take my stapler, and I'm actually going to kind of open the book rather than fold it, and lay it right onto a little foam piece, which is actually a magic eraser. And then I'm going to kind of measure about an inch or an inch and a half down, probably more like an inch. And then I'm going to go ahead and staple one, and then staple another one kind of on the same length on the other end. And then I'm going to use my scissors just to fold down those staples. But if you have a washcloth, which most people do, or at least I hope they do, you can simply use that underneath. I just decided to use a foam piece and keep it in my craft room, and so that's what I had to use. So I had a little bit of overhang, and one important tip that I've learned from making several notebooks is that maybe trim after you staple, because then you can get like kind of that perfect notebook, or that perfect kind of edge, versus like trimming and then stapling, because a lot of times when you staple, it'll create that overhang because you may not get a perfect staple in the spine, if that makes sense. So here's my notebook. I really love it. You can even go as far as rounding the corners, but I sure was not. You can do it on the outside, but you can also round all the like the papers on the inside, but I certainly was not going to do that. So here are the three notebooks. Two are bought from Michaels, and one was created by me. So now I'm going to start with customizing my notebook. The first thing I want to do is grab my stamps. These are monogram stamps, and I'll link down below where they're from, and I can't remember exactly where they're from, and I'll link that down below. But the first thing that I'm going to do is grab some pigment ink, or any sticky ink will do. I have VersaFine ink, but it's kind of messed up, so I decided to just use the pigment ink that I have, and some embossing powder, and then my embossing heat tool. And what I'm going to do is just heat that up so it can get a really pretty gold foil on the outside. And then I'm going to set that aside and kind of clamp it together so that the warping will kind of work itself out. If you don't know about that technique, basically you need a sticky ink and your stamps, and you can put the embossing powder over after you've stamped it, and then heat it up, and then it looks really nice. On that second notebook, I just used some stickers, and you guys probably all know about stickers, but I used stickers to spell out my sister's initials. So to customize a notebook, one of the thoughts that I had, and I kind of honestly, like a lot of my ideas I stumble upon on accident just because I'm doing stuff in my craft room and I'm just playing around. I have a notebook that I'm using for scripture, and I've been loving to just decorate it with stickers and write things. And so what I decided to do was just kind of do that same type of thing, except leave it super simple so that whoever this goes to, or whoever these notebooks go to that you're creating, have the ability to write in them and kind of do what they want. But just kind of add a little something, especially if you're giving it to somebody who's not super crafty, but maybe is a journaler or something like that. You can kind of make it crafty for them. So I'm adding stickers to the right lower hand corner. And what I'm doing is every other page, and I've sped it up quite a bit because it's super repetitive, but every other page I'm adding a little like succulent or a cactus at the bottom right hand corner, and then the other pages I am adding a little quote. And I thought that was super fun and unique. So what I'm going to do for I'm going to go back through, and I didn't want to do the stamping first because I wanted to kind of play around with the stickers and then choose my color. But I'm using the same color for every page, and I'm simply stamping the initials of, actually those are my initials. I guess I'm going to keep this notebook, but kind of just for an example, you could obviously, like I said, do a set of these for somebody and use their initials on one notebook, and maybe the next notebook do something like this, what I'm about to share. So I stamped those initials, and I know that went super quick, but it was also repetitive. And so basically on that first notebook, I added a sticker at the lower right hand corner as I'm doing now, and then I added a stamped monogram at the top of every page. And this is a super quick process. I mean, especially because it doesn't take long to add stickers, and it doesn't take long to add the same stamp to every page. So the next thing I'm doing is grabbing these Creative Devotion stickers after adding florals, because I wanted to kind of continue on with the floral pattern, or the kind of the floral vibe, because the front of this notebook actually has flowers all over it, and so I wanted to continue on with that. So I added a floral piece on every other page, and then the opposite pages I'm adding just something at the top instead of adding something to every corner, if that makes sense. So you'll kind of see what I mean when I do a flip through here at the end. But basically I am going back through on some of these and adding just plain old quotes at the top from my Gold Star Quotes sticker book from the Happy Planner. And then with some other ones, I'm actually going to add those Creative Devotion stickers that kind of have that watercolor effect. And then I add a quote right on top. And it's just kind of to spice it up. Now, certainly don't feel like you have to add and use up your stickers for every page, but I do find that I have leftover stickers a lot, and this is the perfect type of project to use those for. The other thing that I notice a lot is that I actually there's certain like sayings that I don't really want to use on my own spreads. Like, I don't know, there's just certain things that I don't really want to use, and so what I do instead is like use them for something like this, which I think is a fun idea. So there's kind of a flip through of that second book that I created, and I really love the way that one came out, and then I'll do a flip through of my first one as well. And that is it. I hope you guys enjoyed this process. Let me know if you have any thoughts or questions. Please give me a thumbs up if you like these kind of videos and you want to see more, and leave a comment down below telling me which one is your favorite. We'll talk to you guys soon. Bye.